Hello and welcome to the Skill Link podcast, where we chat and get to know passionate content creators, competitive players, and even shiny hunters, and all the voices who continue to make the Pokemon community incredible. And today, well, if you ever wonder where today's guest is, he's sure to be found shuffling through the long grass of Route 102 east of Petalburg, or hacking away at the Kanto Safari Zone, zipping around on his bike with some eggs in his bag, or even zooming across the wasteland of the Orre region. Why do you ask? Well, he's just on a quest to fulfill the professor's quest to fill the Pokedex, but with a couple extra sparkles thrown in there. And this is a guy with some of the most impressive shiny hunts completed on cartridge to date, and he's documenting his journey for all of us to see. It's our friend Mike, but you may know him as Gen3Hunter. How are you doing, my friend?
Logan, Josh, how you guys doing? Thank you so much for the opportunity. That was an amazing intro right there. That was awesome. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Yeah, from all the way from Route 102 over there in the Hoenn region. So
Route 102, aka my car outside of a Chick-fil-A. So maybe I could run into a shiny Raltom out here, the second one. So yeah,
they've really industrialized over the last 20 years over there in Hoenn, getting Chick-fil-A's.
That's why it's so hard to find shiny Torchic. The Chick-fil-A's is running away.
Got some Torchic nuggets over there, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a spicy.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
We're super excited to have you, man. And honestly, like Josh was saying, one of the things that really kind of caught our eye, was kind of this tender love that you have for the Gen 3 area, and kind of how you mentioned in your bio and some of your other videos. You're even kind of eyeing Gen 2 and Gen 5 here and there as well. And
yeah.
And so it's one of those things that we're really excited to kind of get to know you a little bit more and kind of get to know your connection to Pokemon. And one of our first questions we had for you is kind of how you got into the Pokemon franchise. What were your first games that you played or your favorite ones? And then kind of what draws you to Gen 3 specifically?
Yeah, great question. And again, like I said, if I go too long-winded here, please stop me. So some really brief background on me for those who don't know who I am. My name is Mike. I'm 28 years old. I was introduced to Pokemon in 1998. I was, I think, 3 or 4 years old at the time. Literally home video of me opening Pokemon Blue. I saw it last year. I'm like, that's so cool. Should have kept it sealed because it's probably, 20x in value since then. But I remember playing, literally my earliest memories were playing Red and Blue. I remember going on a family trip, at the beach. I was, beating Brock, beating Misty, beating Lieutenant Surge. And then the most challenging experience of my life was trying to figure out what to do after Lieutenant Surge. So I'll tell you what, you're a 5-year-old kid and go. First of all, finding the rock tunnel, really challenging. You got to kind of circle back, look for the cut tree. But then navigating the rock tunnel without Flash, not trying to find Flash. I remember I literally couldn't do it. I have a memory of me in the second grade with a Blastoise, literally right after Lieutenant Surge, just stuck. Nice. To this day, I have since gone on and played the virtual console. I don't think I've beaten Gen 1. I literally, obviously in 3rd gen I have, but I don't think I've beaten the entirety of Gen 1. But for me, really, where my passion for Pokemon really comes is the second generation of games. And I know that's kind of contradictory towards my namesake, Gen3Hunter, more so because I love shiny hunting in the 3rd gen games. But for me, Johto and Crystal is just a masterpiece. I know it hasn't aged well. Obviously, the box in that game is absolutely terrible. I hate that the late game or the Johto Pokemon are locked to the to the second half of the game, which kind of sucks. But for me, the OST is incredible. And for me, the Gen 4 remakes don't do it justice. That intense Lance Red theme, I love. The elemental punches are awesome. It is so good. And that's why, for one of my videos, I have, I'm doing the Gen 2, badge quest just because I wanted to play through those games again and experience it. Yeah. So I would say Gen 2 is my favorite. Then, I think Ruby Sapphire came out in 2003. I was around 8 years old. To me, the transition from Game Boy Color to Advance was seamless. I thought they did a really good job with it. The newer Pokemon were fresh and exciting. I love all 3 starters. Fire Red and Leaf Green were amazing remakes in my opinion. And then Emerald, I actually never played Emerald until much later. But for me, honestly, the controversial take that I have, and hopefully I don't turn you guys off, minute 5 here into the podcast. I have a hot take. I am not a Gen 4 guy. When Pokemon moved from, literally, this is going to be spicy hot. And it was actually coming back to the franchise. I was very surprised that people look very fondly on Gen 4, but I thought for me, it feels very slow and lethargic. It just doesn't feel the same for me. It felt slow. This is a hot take, right? I really don't love the starters in those games. Right. Even like Garchomp, the pseudo, and I love pseudos. I mean, Tyranitar, Salamence, I love the Dragonite. I just don't think Garchomp is that exciting of a Pokemon. It's probably very good competitively. And I hope this isn't sacrilege to you guys.
No.
But yeah, so for the early part of my life, I would say from Gen 1 to Gen 3, that was Pokemon. Then, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum came out. I remember owning Platinum, and I kind of got away from the series. And I really didn't come back to Pokemon again until I was really in college. And that was just playing a lot of like Fire Red Omega, Shiny Gold, I think it was called, Liquid Crystal. Yeah, Shiny Gold. Like the not the Nuzlocke, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the hacks of the games. Where they introduce more modern things, especially Johto, because I just said I love Johto. I went back to that, and I really got into shiny hunting because I was looking for a new way to play the games. But yeah, I'll stop there because that was, 5 minutes of material. We can definitely go back and break some of that down if you'd like.
I love it, man. All I know is, you're right out front of Chick-fil-A. You got the spicy chicken nuggets. You didn't get the regular one. You got the spicy one.
Oh, I'm telling you, it really was so surprising to me how well received Gen 4 was. Because again, a lot of my friends went away from the series. I mean, obviously you have other interests. As we said earlier, I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy. So DM era, that's where I kind of made that shit. I was never really a Pokemon card guy, but I was very surprised to see how well the Gen 4 games are perceived even to this day. Like I wanted to play the remakes. I just don't love the starters. I think Infernape, I can't stand that they have 3 firefighting starters back to back to back.
That is an interesting
choice. Again, it's a very hot take because those games are beloved. Yeah. And even the Heart Gold, Soul Silver remakes, to me, they just don't feel the same as the Gen 2 games. The OST, even though it's remastered. But yeah, we definitely can break some of that down. Diarrhea of the mouth I have right now.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, each gen definitely has kind of their big time cult followings, and each one is foaming at the mouth for their remakes.
Right.
I'd say Gen 3 and 4 are probably where I find my strongest attachment, but Gen 3 also including Fire Red and Leaf Green. So I'd say like the Gen 3 section of games, not necessarily the region itself. But every remake that's around the corner, every single cult following of that generation is again foaming at the mouth for their thing. So then BDSP comes out and they're like, that's not what we wanted. But then all Gen 5 guys like, too bad it's our turn now. Unova remake coming up stuff.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I don't know what you thought of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I only got to play through it once because it came out much later, obviously. But I thought Orre was a really good remake. Heart Gold, Soul Silver. But there is a certain charm, without a doubt, where Gen 1 through 3, I think, is the core of Pokemon and definitely it's the foundation, right? Everything we have today is off the shoulders of those first few generations. So you can definitely argue that, hey, that's Pokemon. That's the core of it all, right? So
yeah,
I love that.
That is a great way to put it and a great take. Even Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I feel like people love those games, and when I look at those games, I love some of the stuff they added. Right. Obviously the box. I can't say enough how bad the box is in Gen 2. Right. Remaking the box to that more convenient way of doing things. Like I don't know. I hate that they get rid of like the elemental punches in Goldenrod. Like so much of my childhood was going there. Suiting up my Croconaw. Ice Punch, get a Kadabra, all the elemental punches. And for me, I didn't like that they got rid of that. I can't remember if they have like the Ice Fang, Fire Fang. Are those TMs in Gen 4?
I think might be.
Tutors. Oh man, I'm going to check that because that's going to bug me. That sounds, I think they're more
in the
available.
Game for sure though. Cause I remember Croconaw gets Ice Fang in that generation for sure.
And they're weird, right? Like they're like 95% accuracy moves, right? Or like something like that, like 85. Right. Yeah. It's just not as good. That to me is a perfect analogy of gold, silver, crystal. And it's an interesting take right there. Only fire takes outside the Chick-fil-A.
I think one of the strongest, like, I agree with everything said, but I think one of the kind of what's the right word I'm looking for? But like one of the fire takes that you have is the soundtrack and the music of Gen 2. Because I agree with you. Like I have the music right now, like the battle music in my head of Gen 2, and then also just like you mentioned the punches, and those came to my head too. And that I really like. I just agree with you there that they did definitely add a level to those games of just intensity. Like it was like you felt like you were part of that battle. You felt the impact of that fire punch, right? And and the super effective sound too. The like it was so good. Like I totally agree. Like
how overdramatic the surf animation is too. It goes for like 5 seconds. It's like unnecessarily long, but is it unnecessary because we love it? That's the question.
I love all of that, and to me, it's those intense OSTs. It's the Lance theme, the Red theme, the surfing. I love the bike. I mean, I even bring those in my videos. It's all of that I just love so much about those games.
Totally.
I saw someone. I think it was Smith Plays Pokemon. I don't know if you guys follow him. I think he remade or he made Crystal better. He implemented some of these changes.
Yeah, I was seeing that.
Yeah. But yeah, despite, again, my favorite game to shiny hunt in is in 3rd gen. 2nd gen does have some quirks. I did Ghastly, for member number 2 of my, shiny badge quest. And that was hell. There's no way to increase the encounter rate. The catch rate's really, really bad in those games for some bizarre reason.
Yeah.
Like even Pokemon you wouldn't even think are that challenging to catch are much harder in those games. So it's things like that haven't aged well, but it's that charm to me that I love so much. Maybe it's because I grew up with it, but that's just me.
Right.
I love it. I love it, man.
And I want to ask you, this is more of a personal side thing. I noticed in one of your recent videos, specifically when you just posted, when you're hunting trap inch, heard you mention that you were, obviously while you're shiny hunting, some of the phases could take forever. Probably gonna distract yourself with some stuff on the side. I heard you mention you're watching some football.
Absolutely.
Hunting, and that you're a Cowboys fan. So I want to ask you how long you've been a fan for.
Oh man, first of all, I really appreciate that you're watching the videos, man. I mean, I just want to say this, and anyone from my audience, this is going to sound like a subtle flex, but I've been getting a ton of comments of just positivity. I just want you to know, I really appreciate everything that the community has done. It takes my breath away. I can't even believe, like, we'll talk about why I made the channel, how that all happened, but like, how I'm at 10,000 subs. Like, I'm just some normal guy, in his room. I mean, not that normal. We're, shiny hunting on 6 different consoles. But yeah, so that was gonna be one of my fun facts about me. I'm a big Dallas Cowboy, New York Yankee fan. Now, before you get your front run comments out there, I had this classic line, right? Cause the classic line is, right, you're a Yankee fan, you're a Cowboy fan. Oh, you like the Lakers and Duke. I am 28 years old. I was born in 95. The Cowboys won in 96. I was 9 months old at the time, right? Since that day, they are 0-7 in the divisional round. They have not even made it to a conference final game. And I wear this scarlet letter everywhere I go of being a front runner. So my line is, if I'm going to be called a front runner, can I at least go to the Super Bowl one time? Hoping this is it. But are you a Steelers fan?
Yeah, so funny. I got an interesting sports history. So right now, my wife and I are we're in Pennsylvania. Cool. So I'm a Steelers fan, but my dad is from the Boston area, so I'm Red Sox, Celtics. Yeah. So I know the Red Sox might trigger you with being a Yankees fan.
Dude, you have no idea.
I know, but I get it's funny you say that because you hear I mean, it's funny. So I'm a Steelers fan, but my wife and her entire family, they're all Eagles fans. So
Eagles fans,
don't love the Cowboys. But it's just like, you can't, it's, people say like, you're a Cowboys fan, you're a Yankees fan, you're spoiled because of all the winning. And you're like, man, how many championships have I actually seen in my life?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
if you're gonna
hell,
call me
man.
that, I want to at least have the championships to gloat with. So,
Exactly.
anyways.
And I look at like the Patriots. I mean, there are Patriot Yankee fans, especially like in the Connecticut area. And I'm like,
It's
why can't they be front runners? The Pats have won every year. Like growing up, like it's tough. Like for me, I associate the Super Bowl and the Dallas Cowboy football as two different things. Like it hasn't set in that the Cowboys might be able to play there. Probably not this year. They're probably going to lose to the Niners. As actually in that video, I think not the trap injury. I think it was the hop-it. I think I was watching George Kittle score touchdown number 3 in that game.
I mentioned that and I laughed and I'm like, oh man, he's going through it.
Yeah, I mean that game also, it totally scuffed that footage. Everything's all slowed down, and I might as well just turn the game off and just focus on the shiny hunting. But
there you go.
But yeah, that's funny. That's one of those fun facts. I'm a big sports fan.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
cool.
I love it.
Yeah, we noticed that. Wanted to mention that. So
yeah, definitely. I appreciate again you taking note of that. That's really cool to me.
All right, so coming up to you mentioned getting back kind of what you got you back into the franchise itself with shining hunting itself. So kind of tell us probably about that first moment, like you mentioned, kind of why you started the channel in general, and then maybe your first. Do you remember getting your first shiny?
Oh man, this is so cool because I don't think I've ever verbally told this story out loud. I mean, I've told my fiance, but she doesn't really care that much about this. All right, so this story really has to start. I'm going to pick up right where I left off when I left like Pokemon. I was 5th grade, 6th grade, right around there. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts guy. Kingdom Hearts to me, I can go off for a half hour on this. Kingdom Hearts 2 to me is the greatest game of all time. We talk about OSTs. The Battle of 1,000 Heartless in KH2, that is, I'm getting chills just talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So I was a big Kingdom Hearts guy, and for a while, again, that was my everything. I loved the lore. I was, studying it. I was waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out. And while that time waiting, I really didn't, I played Madden, but I didn't really have another game. Went back to Pokemon, like I said, in college because I was bored trying to find something to do. And I was looking for another way to play the games. And for me, I'm telling you, literally everything I did, I was just killing time for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out.
Yeah.
So it's like 2016, 2017. And, I start watching videos from 3 different people, from LJ or Shiny Collector, Sonics, who are 2 very big names, also 2 great guys. I mean, everyone in this community is incredible. I really don't have anything bad to say about anyone. So it's those 2 guys, and then a less known guy named Shiny Hunter Josh. I think he may have taken his channel down, but he had some amazing reactions. So I graduated college and I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. Let me try hunting, full odds. I've never gotten a shiny in 3rd gen ever. Played those games a ton. I never got it. I've gotten shinies in Gen 2, actually. As weird as that sounds, because it almost seems, actually, my rate of shiny encounter in my Johto badge quest is very low. I get like 2,000 random encounters for shinies. But for me, I never found one in 3rd gen. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for Charmander. Probably a very basic thing to say. Shiny Charizard is my favorite Pokemon.
I love Charmander. I love it.
Yeah, it's like before that even became the popular opinion that he was absolutely my favorite. So I was just soft resetting for Charmander. I was sitting in my apartment. I just graduated, inspired by LJ, Sonics. And I remember I was watching Friday Night Lights, and I started shining, started soft resetting. I think it was a bootleg copy of Fire Red, but then I bought an authentic one back when those were like $30. Can't do that now. I just remember soft resetting. I wasn't really, counting. And around like season 4, I looked down and I just remember seeing the blue border, the golden lizard, and the feeling of just like euphoria of like, oh my God, like this is incredible. I get asked all the time, how come you don't just RNG it? How come you just don't hack it in? That feeling right there, you don't get that electric, energizing feeling of just, wow. I am pretty predisposed to like grinding session, like I said, like big Kingdom Hearts guy, collected all like the trophies. But yeah, so I did that hunt, and then I was playing Dream Drop Distance on top of that, again, prepping myself for the release of
3.
Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah, exactly. So Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. I go to the midnight release. A buddy of mine, I was actually living in Boston at the time. I got a funny story.
Nice.
Like he's not really a gamer at all. He's like, yeah, Mike, what are you doing tonight? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to GameStop. He's like, what are you going to GameStop at 10 p.m. for? I was like, I'm going to the midnight release. Like, you're doing what? You going at midnight to GameStop? So I play the game and I you know, admittedly, I feel like it was a fine game. I felt like I was a little bit disappointed because when you pump something up that much, again, we were waiting for 10 years for that game to come out.
Right.
It wasn't, and we can talk about why I was disappointed in a little bit, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie, The Princess Bride, you know, or, hello, my name is Indigo Montoya. You know, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, he kills the six-fingered man. He says, you know, now that that's over, I don't know what to do with my life. So I'm like, all right, well, I like shiny hunting, graduating college. Again, I think Sonics was really starting to pump out videos at this stage. I remember I commented on one of his videos. I said, hey man, how do you record, your footage? He said, DS capture cards. Looked it up. Think I got it on eBay. I can't remember how. I ordered 2 and I just said, you know what? I'm going to go for this. The idea of the channel at first was going to be all private videos where I would just catalog my, full odd shiny. And I wanted to do this dream team quest to play the games in a different way. So I find Bagon. I didn't think it was that exciting with shiny, but once I found the 5% Larvitar on the first phase, I'm like, all right, I got to get this out there. This is crazy. So I think I released those videos like a week apart, and you know, really the rest is history. I just love the grind session of shiny hunting, the exhilaration. That first quest was a lot of fun. I think someday I'll recreate it all in the same game. But yeah, that's really how I began, you know, shiny hunting and recording it. It started off as just a way for me to, you know, capture that moment for myself. Then I got the Larvitar and I was like, all right, I gotta release this. And some of those hunts were really cool.
Gotta let everybody else in on the fun. I love it, dude. That's great.
Yeah,
you go.
Oh no, I was just saying some of those videos I look back, you know, and I really didn't know how to record videos that well. And obviously, as we experienced with my technical difficulties before the call, you know, I am technologically challenged at times, but it's just those moments of looking back and just how awesome and exciting that was.
Right.
Yeah. This is great.
I love it.
I remember I don't know if you remember a specific early shiny encounter of yours as a kid, but I specifically remember the first shiny I ever encountered. It was on Emerald. And
awesome.
Get to the route where it's all the Spinda and then the small chance of the Skarmory right there next to Full Arbor Town, all the ash from Mount Loveridge. Yeah. And dude, I because all the Spinda have different patterns each time you encounter them, right? They're randomly generated. Each one looked different. I think I only ran into like it was just insane odds, because I think after like 2 or 3 Spinda, I ran into a shiny Spinda and it's green, right? And my little 10-year-old mind was like, oh, that's just like a different kind of Spinda, right? Because all the Spindas I've seen so far look different. That's just the green one. And then sure enough, after running around for a little bit longer, I was like, wait, I've seen a lot more. I haven't seen a green one again. So there must be something going on. We pull up the old strategy guide, because back in the day, you know, you can't hop online. I mean, you can, but you know, it's cooler to have the strategy guide.
Right, of course, absolutely.
Cool. So pull it out, and there's a tiny little section in the Emerald strategy guide that says, oh, you might run into rare shiny Pokemon that are different colorations of the usual Pokemon. These are 1 in 8,192. And I'm just like, I'm never going to see that again unless I grind for it. So, that was my first one, the Spinda with the green dots.
I actually think mine was a Spinda too, bro.
Oh, no way.
That's awesome. Oh, love it.
So that's actually really funny. So I remember catching it and not 100% understanding what it was. One of my favorite shiny stories, though, is my little brother on Leaf Green. I remember he was needing to evolve a Machoke, right? He caught a Machoke, and he needed to trade it to evolve it. So I was like, oh yeah, just trade me whatever. He trades it over. I'm like, bro, you got a shiny. He's like, what?
Awesome. Huh?
A shiny.
Oh man.
Oh, it was great. So I remember that. It was so funny.
Yeah, I love hearing those stories. I mean, it's so cool. I'll be honest, I don't remember. I definitely got them in Gen 2, obviously, besides the Gyarados. Nothing comes to mind. I definitely never got them in 3rd Gen. I never got one in 3rd Gen. Right. I'm trying to think of one. I remember, like, I would play, like, sped up version like on my phone. I think I ran into like a shiny Bellsprout or something, but I don't have a story like from my childhood where I was like, whoa, you know, I have, for me, that excited feeling was coming, you know, getting a Blastoise at the second gym and running around first grade and going, I got a Blastoise, you know.
So cool.
But again, it's whatever triggers that, you know, that emotional attachment to the game. That to me is what makes Pokemon, you know, so amazing, whether it's shinies, whether it's competitive playing, whether it's whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it, bro. Kind of speaking of that, so for you know our listeners who may be new into shiny hunting, can you give us kind of a quick crash course? Like, what are phases? How do you increase the odds, or like what can you do to increase the odds? And then what other essential information like can you give us, like encounter rates and things like that?
Yeah, so first of all, there is an incredible video from this shiny hunter named Your Fried Bread. I don't think he makes regular videos I think he only does it around Safari Week, but he has a great video. So, crash course real quick, shiny Pokemon, 1 in 8,192. Different colored sprites, really cool. The best, you know, quote unquote Pokemon. In 3rd gen, to me, my favorite way to shiny hunt, you can do a couple different things. My favorite way is to random encounter. You just run back and forth. You can increase the encounter rate at which you find Pokemon by using an Illuminate Pokemon, which is an ability, and then a White Flute, which you make in Lava Ridge Town with the Ash. I don't think can you get it in Fire Red and Leaf Green? I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Unless it's like a late game thing. You know, I actually don't think they thought of it in Fire Red and Leaf Green, because I'm telling you, like during Safari Week, you pop, you know, White Flute and Illuminate. You encounter a Pokemon every step. It almost like breaks the game. So that's another reason why I love hunting in 3rd gen, because you can get encounters really, really quickly. So you can do random encounters, soft resets where you reset the game. You can do egg hunts. The only hunt the Pokemon you can't really do are just the in-game trade Pokemon. Another reason why I love shiny hunting in these games, there's no such thing as shiny locks unless the Pokemon is the same one you see every time, like they do with the in-game trades. What else? There's a lot of useful moves. One of the Pokemon that I love carrying with me is a Smeargle. Anyone who's ever completed like a Pokedex in a game before, False Swipe, Spore, you know, very, very helpful. What else can I talk about here? You know, I just don't do justice to the videos that are out there, because I'm telling you, LJ, Shiny Collector, he has so many incredible videos talking about just the best way to hunt, the little odds and ends of shiny hunting.
So cool. That's awesome. And, you know, as far as kind of your specific current collection and hunting goals, you know, the shiny Trapinch is beautiful. I love the little black dark navy
Absolutely,
Trapinch. That and the Flygon are two of my absolute favorites, because the Flygon's got like that teal turquoise orange trim on it. Beautiful. But, you know, you have, you know, your Ruby DTQ, which is where your infamous Ralts is. We'll get into that Ralts a little bit later.
Yeah, definitely.
Emerald Dragon DTQ, you got your Gold SBQ and Coliseum hunting, a bunch of stuff. You know, you just recently posted that video with the Centret line, the Phanpy, the Hoppip, the Dunsparce, a couple Johtomons. So tell us more about all of that, just kind of what you have going on lately, the different projects and goals that you have kind of in your pipeline right now.
Dude, I'm really impressed, man. Thank you so much. Definitely, you know my stuff better than I know my stuff. So my big project right now. So I have those Dream Team quests. I'm working for, and this kind of goes back to my love for Gen 2. I'm trying to complete a living dex first. I would love to complete a living dex of all 3rd gen, but I want to complete just the Johto Pokemon in 3rd gen. And I think part of the reason for that is because when I played those games, like I never thought about getting like a Typhlosion in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like even when you look at the Johto sprites, like I don't know if you guys feel this way, they don't look quite right. Like they almost look like they're like made out of clay. I always had that weird like, when I would trade them in from Coliseum, I didn't do that until much later. Like they look a little off. I don't know if that it's almost like they didn't really intend, they didn't sharpen the sprites. I'm trying to think of an example example off the top of my head of one of those. I'll think of something later. But so that's my big goal right now. I would love to get a living dex of all 100 Johto Pokemon in 3rd gen. I looked at it. I think I'm over the hill. We're about halfway there. I think I've tackled a lot of the hard Pokemon. The only two, so you have the 2 roamers. And the hunt that I'm doing right now, which is just the worst hunt I have ever done, and we could talk about that a little bit. I'm doing for my 5K sub special, I did a giveaway, and the winner, I gave away a capture card. The winner selected to do Totodile. And I figured in Birch's Totodile, which you get access to after you complete the Hoenn Pokedex.
Yeah.
So I completed the dex. It was kind of fun. That was my first time ever completing a Pokedex in Hoenn. I did it in my Master Fire Red, but setting it up was it was fun. It was kind of annoying, but just it is. I'm at like 42,000 for just Cyndaquil.
Oh yeah.
And for the viewers, the RNG in Emerald is broken. So what you have to do is you have to watch battle videos, consistently move along the frame to keep advancing frames so you see new Cyndaquil, and then you have to go record new battle videos so you keep extending the frame over and over and over again. It is hell on earth. So I'm sure for me the Ralts hunt was hell. This hunt feels worse, and I'm sure after this, as I get closer, there's going to be another hunt that is just a little rough. But to me, it's always worth it in the end. It's finding the shiny, completing your goal. Really, there's something special about it.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, in terms of other goals, I think I just talked about. So completing the Johto living dex. Then obviously I want to expand to Kanto and then do all of 3rd gen. And then doing some more niche Gen 2 hunts. I think Gen 2 is awesome. And you mentioned Gen 5 at the beginning of the call. I play through Gen 5. Gen 5 might have something for me besides Gen 4. I think it feels like a better game. Did you guys have the take when it first came out because I thought Gen 5 wasn't liked as much because it was almost kind of like a reboot because there were newer Pokemon. Yeah. What are your guys' opinions on Gen 5?
I think it's aged really nicely, in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Logan.
I would say personally, Gen 5 actually has one of the best stories out of any of the Pokemon series, just because it's built out, and your rival / N is just such an interesting character in that dynamic of the story. And I agree with you. I think at first, it wasn't what's the word? Not inherited, but taken well. I agree with that. But then I think it aged well over time, and it's continued to be kind of that focal point for a lot of those people who came in on that generation as their first game. It's because there was all new Pokemon. It was just kind of blew everybody's mind. I think, and I still haven't played it personally all the way through, but I definitely think I would love to one day just to kind of that experience.
Yeah,
we got to do that for maybe for one of our ROM hacks or something like that in the future, because it's I was actually watching someone talk about this the other day that they did that on purpose to try and just not lean so much on the earlier generation Pokemon. So in the original Black and White, it wasn't until Black 2, White 2 where, because in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, you could still catch your Geodudes, you could catch
Pikachu,
stuff like that, Pikachu, all that. But in Black White, the base Black White game, it was all Unova Pokemon until you got the National Dex, and then Black 2, White 2, which are frequently seen as some of the best games in the series, could you catch more of a bigger dex. But it's interesting because in Black and White, the Unovan Dex mirrors the Cantonian Dex quite a bit in terms of a 3-stage rock evolution, a 3-stage fighting evolution, kind of like Machamp, Golem kind of thing. And what I like a lot about those games that, I think at first when you're so attached to those original Pokemon and you have a game where it's completely fresh with everything new, it's kind of tough. But you go back, I think there's a lot of well-designed Pokemon from that generation. And if you ever go to Gen 5 for shiny hunting, I love the animated 2D sprites in Gen 5.
Yeah.
I think they have so much personality. They make the Pokemon, you just get really attached to them because they can kind of do something quirky. They do their little movements. They look really intimidating. They can kind of fly around. I don't know. I love that aspect of Gen 5 a lot. So it's an interesting generation to talk about for sure, the way it's aged. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just, I've played through Black one time. I liked it my first playthrough, but Black 2 to me, I hear that it's one of the greatest games in the entire franchise. It's interesting to me you saying that's probably someone's first time playing Pokemon or their introduction. I feel so old when you say that, because for me it's starting at the beginning. Gen 5 is someone's first introduction to Pokemon, but I really do want to play Gen 5. I think one day I'll probably do a shiny hunt in there.
That'd be
Also,
great.
yeah, I feel like I like the Pokemon in there too. Like I love
Mhm.
Drudigon, the
Drudigon's cool.
one stage evolution. I'm a big dragon guy. I love dragon Pokemon. Like to me, there are some really well designed dragon Pokemon in Gen 5. To me, a lot better than Gen 4. I hope I'm not talking. Do you guys like is Gen 4 one of your favorites? Hopefully I'm not.
No, you're good. So I'm going to tell you my story. So we actually, me and Josh, another aspect of our channel is we do hardcore soul links together. So, we do the challenge runs, and we generally try to do the ROM hack games. So I played through Gen 4 for the first time on stream with Josh, through a Renegade Platinum, hardcore soul link. And like I was very much the same way as you. Like growing up, I just kind of never really like Gen 4 just didn't get it for me. I found I find it silly that the Empoleon was part steel, because I was like, fire types are like kind of good against it now,
Yeah.
And the same thing with Torterra. I was like, it's ground, so water types are kind of good against it now. Like I just didn't get it, And
they ripped off Bulbasaur or a Venusaur. To me, it's a knockoff Venusaur.
Yeah.
Heresy. I'm saying a lot of things over here. Probably offending half your viewers when I say that.
And so I'll say this: I definitely think going through the game in a hardcore soul link for the first time, and it's probably Platinum, was also probably making it a lot better, because I know Platinum has a lot of extra content in there.
It's got a better Pokedex too.
Yeah, I have grown to love it, and we also did a randomized version too, so that's probably a big part of it too. Yeah. So I would say I've grown to really adore Gen 4. I still don't think it's my favorite by any means, but I definitely did grow to adore it. But what you're saying, I totally understand what you're getting at. So I totally get it.
Because again, I know people love that game, and I'm not trying to poo-poo rain on anyone's parade, but it's not for me. Can I ask you guys real quick? So a Soul Link, I'm obviously familiar with a Nuzlocke. Is that kind of similar? Is just like another way to play the games?
Yeah, Soul Link is it's literally a Nuzlocke, except our encounters are linked together. So we'll go through the game just like a Nuzlocke, and my starter's connected to his starter, so if his starter faints, then mine's gone too, even if it's still alive. Yeah. So it requires a lot of like we'll go into a boss fight, and let's say he has like an ideal team of 6 for that specific matchup, but then like the 6 Pokemon that he has are linked with my 6, but like let's say the one that I caught on that adjacent route isn't the best matchup for that. We have to try and find like an alternate solution to that.
So cool.
Like let's say we're going into Fantina, and he's got like a Haunch Crow or something to bring in, but like let's say that my link to his Haunch Crow is I don't know. It's like a
Fantine is the ghost gym leader, just
ghost gym leader. So
that sounds familiar.
So we'd have to try and find a way around that, where I either just take kind of a bum encounter to the gym fight, so that way he has a more favorable matchup, or we try and find something that works out for both of us. So it was tough. We did 8 attempts on it, and it took like a year and a half to finally
wow.
get there. But
that's awesome though, guys. That's a grind. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome.
Dude, it was similar. in it somewhat similar way as far as the feeling we got to shiny hunting, because the first time we got to the Elite Four, we beat it through. We didn't even get to the Elite Four for the first 7 runs, and we got there, we beat it first try, and we're like, dude, that's like honestly one of the best gaming achievements that we've ever done.
Yeah,
it was so fun. But
so one of the other aspects that we do, so it's a hardcore soul link. So what hardcore means is, first and foremost, we can't use items in battle, so there's no healing in battle. And then we also had the level caps in place.
Yep.
And we kind of gave ourselves. Sometimes there's some more stricter rules of like you can only have like one encounter. So like the encounter token, like where it says a Pokemon was encountered, that's like the only Pokemon you can get. We did allow ourselves static Pokemon. But we're also doing it part time, so it wasn't like we don't have all the time in the world, so it's like we kind of gotta give ourselves some stuff. But it was a blast, and so I agree with Josh. Like I don't know, like it was just one of those feelings of prepping together and getting into these crazy battles against Elite Four, and then finally getting through was elated, and I will just forever hold that experience in my heart forever.
Oh, yeah. And that's awesome. I mean, that is exactly what it's all about. I mean, that feeling you guys get is what I feel with shiny hunting. And I'll tell you right now, I think it's way more impressive what that, because that the competitive play, the Nuzlocke is so far beyond me. one video that I love, it's like a 55, or it's an hour-long video from Pokemon challenges where he does
I love him.
To me, that is one of like the greatest. First of all, it's incredibly well done, but it is just so impressive, you know, that whole thing. And I love that he's got like 30,000 people watching him. Like it's a game at Yankee Stadium. Man. I mean, that's how cool this is. I mean, it's crazy. Cool. I love watching it. You go through all the emotions and the chat going nuts. It's just awesome. Again, that's what this is all about. It's just finding new ways to play these games, this franchise that we love. That's what makes it so awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Josh, I think we kind of talked about the Johto starters already.
Yeah,
you want to continue on
the next one? Yeah, so I mean, speaking of this feeling you get,
here?
You know, I'm sure you got this. So I mean, allow us to set the scene here. It's April 14th, 2023. We're 2.5 years in the making, 30 phases in, and after over 220,000 random encounters, specifically over 5,000 in that specific phase, you get shiny Ralts. Graced our presence finally. So, I mean, tell us more about that hunt. Do you have a favorite or most rewarding shiny to date? Even if it's just the way it looks, but I know that specific one was definitely a long time coming. So yeah, we'd love to hear more about that.
Hunt and
some of your other favorite ones to date.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So a lot there. We can talk about Ralts first, and then we can talk about some shinies that I really, really love. That Ralts. I mean, that hunt for some reason went on for a stupid amount of time. I couldn't even fathom how long that hunt was. Again, I started that DTQ right after I hit 1,000 subs, which again, to me, 1,000 subs is just crazy. 10,000. I mean, I still can't even can't fathom that number. But I started that right after Suicune. It was like December 2020. And it took me over, again, 2 years. I can't remember the total number of encounters, but just crazy. When it came across the screen, it was during Egg Month. So my DSs are modded where I can control them with I have a video where I do my shiny hunting setup. So I'm able to, you know, control 5 games with one controller. And then I have my DS. I'm doing like bunny hops or going back and forth. I just remember looking over and I'm like, that's a freaking shiny Ralt. I can't even believe what I was seeing. I couldn't. You're one of those moments you can't even understand what you're seeing. It's like I can't even believe it. And again, I was just, sometimes I watch these videos back and I just sound like a babbling idiot. Like I'm trying to I'm watching like, come on, get to the plot. Come on, get there. Just talk about the shiny. It was great. I love Ralts. Ralts is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time.
It's a good Pokemon.
Was a staple on my teams back then. Again, it's a staple on this team now. That hunt really started. It's kind of a callback. I did Ralts for an egg hunt. Forget when it was. It was for Speed Twister 96's Egg Month. He throws it once a year. It's in April. But I did Ralts for the egg hunt then, and I think I said like, yeah, I'm gonna do it here. I'm also gonna do random encounters for it. I'll love to compare and contrast how the 2 hunts go. Well, I have my answer. Go for eggs for when you're single hunting a 10% shiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that to me was definitely a moment. One of my favorite shinies. To me, when I compare that hunt to the Delibird hunt, because I was doing those hunt literally all of 2022, it felt like I was just doing that hunt. The Delibird hunt drove me crazy because I just kept finding shiny Golbat, shiny Zubat, and it was just I couldn't even. At certain points, I'm like, is this a joke? Am I like, what's going on here? You get trolled by the same shiny. For those who don't shiny hunt, it might be kind of weird to see someone get angry at a shiny. I know when I first started, like, I couldn't understand, but it's just like the frustration of like, seriously, like if you roll the dice, the odds don't even make sense. The odds of me finding 6 shiny Golbat in a row, I think it was like 45%. It's like hitting 6 heads in a row, flipping a coin. That was one of the most annoying hunts, the Delibird. Obviously this, once the video officially comes out, the Johto star is going to be one of my least favorite of all time because I just don't like doing the battle video method, after every 100 shinies. One of the most, we talked about how Larvitar really, started my channel. Again, if I didn't find it, if it was going to take a while, I may have given up. That really propelled me forward. The shiny Shadow Hitmontop was a big one too. That only took me, I think, 2,000 encounters, and I found 2 uncatchable Hitmontop before then. So again, with shiny hunting, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. That one was really rewarding because, again, that's a really difficult hunt to set up, but really worthwhile. Oh, is there one more I can reference that really knocked my socks off? Finding shiny Ho-Oh, even though in Gen 2 was one that, like, I think I found it after 36 soft resets. Another one of those where I'm just dumbfounded. I'm like, is that a shiny Ho-Oh after 36? Am I playing like, what's it called? Is it Crystal Clear? Is the Gen 2? Do you guys see that? I played a little bit of that too, where the odds are cut in half. I'm like, is this even the right odds? Like, so to summarize all that, because I told you it's probably diarrhea of the mouth I have right now, I would say Larvitar, Hitmontop, are the two shinies that really come to mind that mean a ton to me. The Suicune was another one example, and then the Ho-Oh. I'm gonna list all of them if I keep going, but those are the 4 that really stand out in my mind.
I love it
for sure.
I love it.
That's
so
cool. And what's awesome about it is that, I know you said in some of the videos, obviously the longer it goes on, it gets frustrating. You'll see a shiny you've seen a million times, and it's like, man, I can't believe I'm going to complain about a shiny yet. Here I am. But what's cool though is that even like, for example, on the Ralts one, as you're documenting that, even when you're like, clearly and very fairly frustrated with the hunt, you're still super positive, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And I find it extremely admirable because it requires a lot of resiliency, a lot of dedication in the face of odds that quite literally are stacked against you. Like the odds are not in your favor at all. So, as you hunt, how do you stay focused? What do you do? What's your general strategy as far as determining who to hunt next and in which games? Obviously you're taking into account locations, encounter rates for the Pokemon. I'm sure all of that changes drastically from game to game, as do catching methods, especially when you're also tossing in, like XD and like for example, Coliseum has a lot of Johto mons that you can't really easily access in the mainline games. You got to go to Coliseum for them. So tell us more about just kind of the overall hunting process and staying positive.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. Again, so like I said, I am someone who naturally is kind of a grinder, is a completionist. Going back to like the Kingdom Hearts, like I was a trophy hunter back when I played a lot of PlayStation. Again, I really don't play it now because all I do is shiny hunt. It's sometimes a little sad because there's games I love to play, but like part of me is like, I gotta grind.
You gotta do
it. There's the staying motivated. I have a dual screen setup. I'm always watching YouTube videos. You really have to distract yourself from just focusing on shiny hunting, because if you're just doing encounters, it's like, it's like watching paint dry at times. You gotta keep it as a secondary activity and just focus on something else. Watch something you love. Watch a YouTube video. Watch a movie or something like that, a sporting event. It's a great way to, of course, if it's a really intense sporting event, then sometimes it's tough when you find a shiny during it, as we saw with Hoppip.
There you go.
And again, another part of this though is you kind of have to enjoy the grind. I say this all the time, as sick as this might sound. To me, my like perfect day is like I get up at like, I'm actually an early riser. It's kind of weird. I get up at like 4:35 a.m. I shiny hunt in the morning, go to work, come back. My perfect day is like I get up early. I get a nice workout in. Maybe you run, 5 miles. You come back. You feel good because you've worked out. You have nothing to do for the rest of the day. You get some Uber Eats. You order some nice food, and you're just grinding shiny hunting. To me, like
I love it.
That is a perfect day. Obviously you can't do it every day, and there are times where it gets kind of exhausting, but like, to me, if you've done your workout, you're like, all right, I can be inside now. I can enjoy, like, you have to be able to enjoy that grind. And it's not for everyone, it's, it's something that can be tough to do. But I just love it. It's something, it's literally my hobby.
I love it, dude.
It's just, it's great. I can't describe it. Like right now, after, we're done, I'll go back. I'll hit some more encounters before bed. Maybe I'm crazy as I'm trying to explain this. I kind of sound like a sociopath a little bit, but it's just fun. And again, it's also sharing with the community. And I just think the shiny hunting community is just so wonderful. Like I like 99.99% of people are so happy, supportive, and positive. It makes me sad that I can't, I don't have the time to comment, thank you to everyone's replies, but it's just seeing the positivity and everyone working together. Then I go on Twitter or X, and I see, the Shiny Hunter Clockpit, who's going after all the Coliseum shinies. I think today he just found 51 of 51. Like that to me, I'm happy for him. And it's so cool to see. And again, new things are being discovered in these games, or new shinies are being discovered all the times in these games, and seeing them is so wonderful. So that's how I stay motivated. That's how I, embrace the grind. And then sometimes you got to take breaks. I mean, no one's immortal from this. There are times where it's like, all right, I want to do something else. I usually just shake up the hunt, like I did with this, Johto starter hunt, where I moved over to Hoppip and I moved back to the Johto Hunter.
Yeah.
But yeah, just shaking it up, staying motivated, staying hungry, and just embracing the grind. That would be my advice.
I love it.
There you go.
Yep.
Today, October 23rd, tweeted out at 4 p.m. Eastern Clockpit. We are done 51 of 51 for all Coliseum shinies. Shiny Shadow Togetic, that beautiful yellow goldish color. Said he got semi-emotional, started the quest back in 2021. So
he's a grinder, man.
Awesome. That's cool.
Another great person. He is. I've spoken to him through Twitter. Just a really, really, really nice person, and we're very well deserved. I mean, I kind of wonder what he's gonna do now. He was the Coliseum guy. He's probably he's gonna have an Indigo Montoya moment now. What do I do with the rest of my life? I think he told me, because I messaged him about it, he might go after some of the, like Gen 2 he mentioned. But it would be really cool to see what he does next. I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Well, and kind of the thing is, I think what you're mentioning is what's really cool about this community is, I mean, like, you guys recognize each other's work, and the grind is definitely like, it builds brotherhood and builds, just that community so much closer. And like, I think it's almost like when, it's probably part of the reason why, why in sports and things like that, when we have our favorite players and things like that, and they do well, or we have friends that are doing well, it's just that community aspect of just success for, another human being. And that just, I think it's probably one of the purest emotions that, we feel as humans, and that we can, really bond, and like, it just brings the world closer, and I love it. Kind of like you're calling out that. So.
Logan, very, very well said, man. I couldn't say it better. Exactly. It's that coming together and really embracing each other's accomplishments.
That's awesome. I love it so much. And kind of speaking of the GameCube games,
yeah.
With this friend of yours that, he was able to get all of them. And then you've also been doing shiny hunts in there as well. I watched your shiny Metagross video a little bit and stuff like that.
Thank you, man.
Too.
Yeah.
And so my question for you is kind of what's the difference between shiny hunting in the GameCube games versus the mainline series? Like what are kind of the mechanic differences, and like what's kind of the process there?
Yeah, sure. So, fun fact about that Metagross video. Again, thank you so much for why that means a lot.
Yeah.
That was one that randomly blew. I think it has like 90,000 views, which is like crazy. And on a side note to that, like to me, one of the videos that blew up that I couldn't believe got so much attention was the Mewtwo Mew video. Got like 200,000. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like my Hitmon top, I'm like, this is crazy. It only got like 6,000, which to me is a much more impressive shiny hunt than the Mewtwo and Mew hunt. But anyway, going back to Metagross, a fun fact for that. So again, I talk about Kingdom Hearts 2. I had the OST for Sinister Shadows, which is the Battle of 1,000 Heartless, as my song. But then it got copyright stricken, and YouTube flagged it, so I had to take the video down and then put it back up. But yeah, some of the differences with Coliseum, it feels a little bit different. Even though they're still soft reset hunts, you have to lean over and kind of turn the GameCubes off. There's a lot of it that's the same. There still is that grinding effort. The soft resets are a little bit longer. But to me, like, seeing a shiny in the GameCube games is so freaking cool. To me, it almost makes it worthwhile. So I would say they can be a little bit more tedious. But again, it's one of those things, you work harder for it. It feels better when you get it. I love finding shinies in Coliseum. To summarize that point, I would say it's a little bit harder because the resets are a little bit longer, at least the hunts that I've done. But I find that they're almost more rewarding in those games compared to third gen.
Oh, I love it. That's super cool.
That's cool.
Well, and I mean, and this, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Sure.
Sometimes some of the shinies like appear a little bit differently in those games too, right? Like they're a little bit like a variance of color or something like that, right?
The coloration.
Yeah. So the color palettes aren't exactly the same. The way they design some of the shinies. Some of them are pretty lazily done. Like the non-Hoenn Pokemon were just ported over from Pokemon Stadium. So literally the same exact models from Pokemon Stadium are present in Pokemon Coliseum. But they slap a gold filter on that, or they just make it slightly more golden for some of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of the Hoenn Pokemon that I feel like get really, really extraordinary, different colored variants.
Right.
Actually, Scizor is a Johto Pokemon. Scizor is a really cool shiny in Coliseum, but I can't really explain it. I don't know why that is. Maybe, I can't remember the studio that did that, Pokemon, our Game Freak license.
It's not Niantic, is it? No, that's
Niantic. Actually, is it Niantic? Niantic from, I think, Pokemon Go.
That might be Go.
You know, it's pretty sad. I have reset my GameCube probably over 200,000 times at this stage. I probably see the name of this company every single time. I can see the letters in the song with the blue. What is the name? Anyway,
Genius Sonority.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I hear the music right before the da 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 da. Yeah, right before that it boots up. But yeah, I love the games. To me, it's really disappointing how expensive a lot of the Pokemon, especially third gen games, have gotten. You know, so some of the best investment advice or things I've ever done was just buying Pokemon games before the boom. But so it's kind of sad that some may not be able to play on the original hardware, but you can always download via ROMs. Like for me, anyone who needs to play these games on ROMs and using emulators, I think that's totally fine. And that's pretty accepted in the shiny hunting community. I think what's not as accepted is just using speed up. But it's just, it sucks how expensive these games are. It's so stupid. There's no reason to me that Emerald should be $180 because it's not a rare game. It's not
they made a lot of them. Yeah,
a ton of them. I mean, there's just no reason. And I just think, maybe scalping is going on. I have no idea, but the games should not be that expensive.
Right.
Totally agree.
Cool. Well, we have next up for the last couple of sections here before we wrap up. We kind of have a rapid fire section where we have a few questions for you just off the top of your dome. Give us what you got, and then to close things out, we have some shower thoughts. Basically just random thoughts that come to you over the course of the day in the shower, on the way to work, out on a run. So
I have a list. I saw the itinerary. I wrote down some things I'd love to say for the show.
Beautiful.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then I have a Gen 4 rant as my rebuttal to close things up. I'm just kidding.
No. I really hope I don't offend you. That's just my opinion. My opinion is wrong with that. Just something else. Not to go off topic one more time. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say what's funny about that is I've heard a lot of the complaints about that generation. I think are valid in the sense of gameplay is kind of sluggish, overworld you're kind of slow. I mean, your sprite, you just move slower. Battle animations are slow. I think it's one of the biggest things I've heard. Nostalgia side, there's a lot of other things I do like about it. If you do ever do a couple shiny hunts here and there, I can pitch you on this. Shiny Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina are prime choices. Yeah, Dialga gets this nice teal color. Palkia is this pink red, and then Giratina that's probably the best one. I'd recommend checking that one out.
White and blue, right?
It's white and blue and kind of a silvery for its I don't know what you call the ridges around its neck. But anyway, that was a little teasy. I had to say that. But
no, listen. I mean, Supreme Arcanine's Giratina, where the game crashes. I'm not sure if you guys seen that video. That is shiny hunting scripture, that video. That goes down in the annals of history.
Crazy.
It's a good shiny. Don't get me wrong. I used to, before dragon types, I loved ghost types. So Giratina would be, or Giratina, however you say, would be a Pokemon that I think I would love. It's just, I couldn't get to the point with
gotta get to the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
All right, let's get into our rapid fire round real quick. So our first one here is going to be, what is the flavor of a lava cookie?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Ooh, I like it.
Cinnamon.
That's good.
I like it a lot.
Even the red hot gum. I'll keep my answer short. I don't want to be too long.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Better design, shiny Rayquaza or shiny Metagross?
Oh man, that's a great question. Oh, I love that question. Of course, now this isn't rapid fire. I have to think about this.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh man, I'm gonna go. I think shiny Metagross is
It's
beautiful.
classic.
However, I will say,
agree.
yeah, I will say, I think shiny Metagross in Coliseum is worse than shiny Rayquaza.
Yeah.
Shiny Rayquaza, yeah. But
Isn't it's like a bronze kind of. It's not even really. What I have to look at it.
It's
again.
like a magenta. It's almost like a little bit of reddish hue in there. It's kind of like a magenta. But to me, like Steven's Metagross with the golden cross is I'm going Metagross. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd love to do Rayquaza soon. Yeah, I have to do that hunt. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Best shiny starter design.
Oh, it's Charmander, Charmeleon, and then Charizard. I love shiny Charmander. Yeah. Love shiny Charizard. Charmeleon's. I feel bad for the middle stage evolution of Pokemon, and just in general. Yeah. That could be a shower thought, I guess. I feel like they kind of left out. But how about this? I'll answer not Charmander. Because again, that's cheating a little bit on my part. I'm gonna go. I love Totodile. Totodile's beautiful. It's a beautiful, nice teal color. Yeah, I'll go Totodile.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Really nice.
That's really good.
All right, then we got some shower thoughts for you now.
All right.
So these are just whatever you got. Not necessarily related to shiny hunting, just Pokemon stuff in general that we all think about here and there. Because what else are we gonna think about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so. Here, one sec. Okay. I literally made a list today of things I wanted to say during this section. All right. Sure. So there's two topics to me, right? So, types of, or Pokemon types that are just a little bit strange that shouldn't be the case, right? Like shiny Lugia being psychic flying it should be water flying. Yeah, like that drives me absolutely crazy. Like Flygon should be bug dragon fly. Like these are things that they keep me up at night. Like these little, like the legendary, and I'm coming to this in a second. The legendary beast should be dual type. Like Suicune should be water ice. Raikou, electric dark. Entei ground fire. Yeah, to me, like that was there are certain Pokemon types that just really irk me. They keep me up at night. Is not Clefairy, is Celebi never got a fairy typing, right?
Nope.
Okay, so that's another one that is that one correct? All right, so that was my first topic. All right, where do you guys side on this? Are legendary beasts cats or dogs?
Ooh, we've had this discussion before. I personally think they're dogs. I just like I think Entei and Suicune are too much of dogs to be otherwise, but I understand the argument for Raikou being a cat. Right. I think that's probably why there's the argument of the beast, like the beast category versus the cat or dog. But I think I lean more towards dog, but I definitely understand the argument for otherwise.
Yeah. Josh, what say you?
Raikou is clearly a saber-toothed cat.
Yeah, that's true.
That's where I'm going on that one. Entei, is it a lion, maybe? Is that what we're going for on that one? And then Suicune, is that, with its legs and its paws and then kind of the spots on it, it gives me big-time cheetah leopard vibes. So I'm leaning cat, I think. But I grew up everyone saying legendary dogs, and now I'm like, are they? But now do you want to be the contrarian and say that they're none of them? They're just legendary beasts.
Listen,
I know.
Listen, I'm with you. I grew up, 25 years on this planet. They were legendary dogs. I even say legendary dogs in my early video. And I think I was messaging with Sonics about Suicune. I called them dogs, and he's like, "Mike, are you serious? They're clearly cats." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But then when you think about it, to me, Raikou, clearly a tiger. Looks like you can see with the stripes. I see big game cat. Entei, the more I thought about it, reminds me of a lion, and then Suicune maybe kind of a jaguar. My knowledge of big game cats. It's also the idea of again, I think when I thought about this as a kid, right? Dogs feel bigger and larger than cats. Like a cat, I think of a domesticated cat. I don't think of jungle cats. So I don't think I ever thought of them as cats because of that.
That's probably why
I have changed my tune. I am now, they are cats, but I call them beasts to be all-inclusive. So that's why I said legendary beasts there.
That's the politically correct term.
Exactly.
Cool.
All right. So other again, this is so random. One of the video ideas, part of me, I don't know if I would ever do this. Maybe someday, doing videos outside of like, shiny hunting, like Pokemon themed videos. And one of the ideas I thought of, like topics, was top 5 types that are similar to other types. Like rock and ground to me are very similar.
That's
Ice
good.
and water, very, very similar. Bug and grass, dragon flying. It's a very random thought. That's a like a video topic. Like I thought it would be done, but there's so many like types that, like, when they were first making Pokemon, like ground and rock almost feel like the same, and there are so many ground and rock Pokemon.
When it was almost like they had to go together, right? Like rock and ground almost had to always go together. Water and ice went together so often as well, especially in that first generation.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, I get that topic a ton too. That makes sense.
Yeah, Gen 1, the only ice type who really feels like an ice type is Articuno, because all the other quote-unquote ice types, you got Dugong, but, water, ice, Cloyster's water, ice, Jinx. I guess Jinx is ice, but does Jinx look like an ice type? Not really.
Lapras is water, ice too.
Yeah.
And then for Lorelei, they just had to toss her a Slowbro to give her an even 5.
Yeah. Listen, absolutely. It's
that's a good question.
Something I always thought about. It's really prevalent in those early games. The kind of typing like ground and rock are always together. Dragon flying. Gyarados being a flying type is another one. That to me is one of, I think Gyarados is the quote unquote atrocious Pokemon. I can't believe Gyarados is flying. Like, did they mean to make Gyarados dragon? And again, it kind of relates to two of those topics, right? Like, because dragon and flying are very similar. See, there's a method to this stream of consciousness I'm giving to you guys here.
I love it. What's interesting with those two types ones is that a lot of those type of Pokemon can learn a move of the other one. Like water types can learn Ice Beam. A lot of them can, at least. That's why like Slowbro on Lorelei's team has an Ice Beam move. And then a lot of grass mons can learn bug moves. All the rock and ground mons can learn earthquake kind of thing. So it's that's an interesting one. There's a lot of bleeding together with that for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very random thing. Again, shower thoughts that I have. All right, I have 2 more Pokemon ones, then I have a few non-Pokemon ones. All right, so we covered Gen 4 has the worst starters. We've beaten that to death. All right, so I have 2 kind of embarrassing Pokemon misconceptions that it took me way too long in life to realize. Number 1, that ghosts were not super effective to Psychic, and I feel like maybe that's a popular one for people my age because
I get that.
Yeah, exactly. Psychic was super effective against ghost Pokemon back then. Yeah. And this is one that, and actually maybe I can quiz you guys, or maybe it's just me. Misconception that took me an embarrassingly long.
Hello, this is Future Josh speaking to you all. I'm going back and editing this. Unfortunately, we lost about 10 minutes of the end of this conversation. Didn't miss anything too crazy, but we did have a little bit of a disconnection and we lost some of Mike's audio here. So we do apologize for that. We went on to talk a little bit more about Justice for Groudon. We talked about Mario Slugger, some of the other Mario sports games, but we'll definitely get Mike back on to the podcast so we can rediscuss these in the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the end here, but I wanted to, I guess, for lack of a better term, use Future Sight and kind of insert myself here so you guys weren't wondering where the audio went. So thanks. I love it. It's simple. It's potent. It's great. So good. Awesome. Well, hey, again, we appreciate it. Well, like I said, we'll drop everything in the description for you. For those who haven't gone back and checked out any of his previous stuff, go back and check it out. I know you got some awesome hunts coming around the 100%. Pipeline. You're working on some really cool things right now. But yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. We'll be pumping out some more stuff ourselves as well. We'll be going live, playing some more Emerald Rogue right now as Logan and I try to beat that on hard difficulty. It hasn't gone well so far, but we're hoping to finally maybe beat it in the next couple of streams, but keep an eye on that. But yeah, thanks again, Mike. We appreciate it. And until next time, this is Skill Link, Josh, Logan, and Gen3Hunter signing out.
See you guys.